terrible, terrible news. This is not drama content. This is some real tragedy happening. And it happened in Canada yesterday. British Columbia, the province that I live in. Not the same city. I'm in Vancouver. This is a place called Tumbler Ridge, I think. And it's a small community within like the interior British Columbia, a very just, I'm not gonna say country hick, just suburban side, but there's not much going on there. It's a small place. And the deadliest shooting in 40 years of Canada happened. I got a lot to say about this. First of all, I fucking hate every time this shit happens, the MAGA retards that come out and say, what happened? Don't you have good gun restrictions? I thought that you banned gun. It's the same shit that happened in Bondi Beach in Australia. There was a mass shooting on the beach, an anti-Semitic attack. And then you have to teach these fucking pigs, hey, look at the frequency of the mass shootings. Because of the fucking laws and regulations in place to make sure these fucking schizos don't have access to guns as easily, the frequency of shooting is not even comparable, okay? So let's just say that first. Quick little clip from the news report. Let's play this.
Good evening. We begin with breaking news in northeastern BC tonight, where several people have been killed in a mass shooting at a secondary school in the small town of Tumbler Ridge.
The secondary school also is like in Canada. I don't know where you guys live. Maybe you have like a middle school and high school system. This is from grade 7 to 12. So straight up 13-year-old, 12, 13-year-olds to like 17, 18. It's fucked. Not saying it would have been any better if they were older kids, but like think about this context.
Shattering the small community of barely 2,400 people. RCMP have confirmed at least 10 people are dead.
160 kids at the high school, apparently.
Including the suspected shooter. Tracking the story for us tonight is CTV's BC Bureau Chief Andrew Johnson. And Andrew, just a devastating situation unfolding at this hour. What can you tell us about what happened?
Omar, it is a devastating day in the small northeastern BC town of Tumbler Ridge after violence on a scale that at this point is difficult to grasp. RCMP say they received a report of an active shooter at Tumbler Ridge Secondary School early this afternoon. When police entered the school, they found several victims along with the suspected shooter who was dead. In total, 7 people were killed in the violence at the school, plus the shooter. 2 more victims were found dead inside a home.
So at that point, the kill count is basically the people that all died is 10. 25 injured, and apparently there are 2 critically injured that has been helied out of Tumbler Ridge and flown into Vancouver to a hospital where they can treat them. Hopefully they're going to be fine.
Police say approximately 25 other people are being assessed and triaged at the local medical center with non-life-threatening injuries. Other students and staff at the school were safely evacuated. People in town were told to stay inside their homes after an emergency alert went out early this afternoon, a lockdown that lasted for more than 4 hours. People in Tumbler Ridge have now been told it is safe to leave their homes. More RCMP are heading to the area. We will share updates as they become available. Omar.
We are tracking that.
There's a big controversy with this too. And the elephant in the room is that this is a trans person. All the news reports, and we're going to go over a bunch of tweets right now. There's a lot of different posts going in that I've been collecting as I've been seeing from the right, from the left. And I'm here to just kind of give you my overall take on it. But the biggest elephant in the room is that this kid basically started taking hormones at 15, transitioned, was mentally ill, and crashed the fuck out at 17 at the high school. And a lot of people are condemning RCMP and news report, right? Basically, there's people like this that's going to be going around saying, why aren't you saying that it's like a gun? Why are you saying it's a gun person, right? They wouldn't specifically, they would say also it appears to be a female in a dress and all that shit. And it's even more fucked now because of how controversial mass shootings obviously such a big tragedy, but I'm beyond that. And now there's even more like talking points against trans people and say, see, trans people not only groom children, but they're also killing kids too, that this is a death cult. And there's going to be a lot of extreme opinions from the right side and the left side happening. Let's go through some of these posts one by one. Some of the comments here, this is the kid apparently. Video of the Tumbler Ridge school shooter Jesse Strang firing a Desert Eagle at a shooting range. So they were very much into guns. And there's a lot of different information that came out. This is the high school, you know, kids coming out. Like, this is such an insane, like, what a surreal experience, man. Imagine one day you're just chilling at school and it's like a really small like community too, right? Literally not much happening, and suddenly, holy fuck, all this shit is going down. And another immigrant? Nope. Again, people are going to be doing this. So immediately what I saw was people going through this shit and trying to say that, you know, this is the issue of, this is the person. They're going to try to find like the ugliest picture possible and try to frame this person. This isn't the person. This is a misinformation spreading. The actual person is this, but immediately right-wing grifters will go and say, and take like the most like unpassable trans person to say this is a mental illness and oh my god, they did it right. They want to like add oil to the fire and make the picture as worse as possible and spread propaganda, right? Then white people will say black people are more violent. Then we got like race issues going on. How does this happen in Canada? Just saying. I mean, of course it's going to happen anywhere as long as humans are involved, right? Like, because we have strict gun regulations, I personally believe less of this shit happens. You look at a frequency of the shootings happening in Australia or Canada, it's not even comparable to America. So again, right, just fucking kill that just rhetoric. Some of the other stuff happening is this. Rough timeline of the Reddit account of the Canadian school shooter. Found Reddit at 10 for a Roblox subreddit. Interested in normal boy things at 13, guns, military stuff. So a lot of people have been going and digging in through receipts and figuring out the profile history of this person, right? Jesse Boy 347 apparently is a big fan of wearing gas masks, is a part of the War Thunder community, gun memes, transitioned at 15, in the subs, you know, in the trans subs, and apparently a lot of the Reddit posts are being deleted too. Also, you have to understand, a lot of the information I'm showing right now, it may not even be true, right? A lot of people have incentives to, again, just stoke the flames of controversy as much as they can. So take everything with a grain of salt, but these are the supposed Reddit profile, you know, of this person. Starting, you know, male to female transition soon. What sort of things will I be taking? Pills, needles, right? Hi, I'm 15 years old. I have an extreme phobia of needles. Blood work is dreadful. I was wondering what kind of stuff can I expect? I've seen big scary progesterone needles. So they're kind of talking about, right, again, hormones to go through that HRT process so that you can transition. Starts experimenting with drugs while on SSRIs. I went crazy and burnt my house down my second time trying shrooms, but still have desire to try alternatives. This makes me think this person is already fucking insane. And I wonder if they didn't even transition, would they have crashed out like this? Would they have? Again, we never know. But when you hear, I went crazy and burnt my house down my second time trying shrooms, where the fuck are the parents? What is happening right now? Obviously, when you go through transition and now you have more judgment, right? You're going to be probably ostracized. You're going to have hateful, negative engagement happening from people that find you weird. And it's going to build on to this fucking negative emotion. So here's the way I see it. I think that the most right-wing grift opinion you can have right now is, see, they all do that. Trans people truly are just all mentally ill schizos, and they're a death cult, right? They're grooming the children, and basically all these kids are being propagandized and going through some insane shit. And I think on the complete left end of the spectrum, right? The left-wing cope, I think, will be that like, no, this is such a not a big issue. If you look at the statistics, you know, the amount of trans shooters versus, you know, regular white male shooters, it's not even the same. I think the truth is somewhere in between the middle. Because again, statistics beyond that, of course, there's less trans people than, you know, non-trans people. But then you have to also think about like per capita of statistics, right? And how often, like the frequency, the percentage of that happens. And I think it's just pure logic that if you have gender dysphoria, you feel like you're stuck in a body that you're not supposed to be in. You're young, you're impressionable, your brain hasn't even fully developed. You're 15 fucking years old. You barely know anything about life, but you feel such a strong feeling that you're not supposed to be a man. You want to be a woman. And you start taking drugs like this. You go to school, what's going to happen? People are going to find you fucking weird. Suddenly, like, what are you? It's like, is this like, suddenly, what if they go to the girls' bathroom and all the girls get freaked out? You know what I mean? So naturally, this is going to make this person ostracized from the community, the tribe. They're going to feel hateful looks. Maybe they deserve to hate. I don't know. Maybe they're a truly evil person, but I'm trying to think of like a reasonable person that wanted to go through this. Of course, they're going to be fucking cast out. They're probably going to get bullied. So when you have all these different mental fucking illnesses, and now you have all these negative engagement happening right now, What do you think is gonna happen? Of course they're gonna fucking crash out with this level of fucking mental illness before the transitions were even fucking happening, right? They were already just very interested in guns. They have high access to guns. I don't fucking know how. But it just logically makes sense that this is an issue further propagated from transitioning. I'm not saying we should ban trans people. I'm not saying all trans people are fucking evil or gonna shoot up schools. But when you look at this specific case example, why are you surprised that this happened? Of course it fucking would. Let's see some of the other stuff. Yo, what's the danger of using 5-MeO DMT alone? Again, just, you know, what the fuck is this kid doing? Where are the parents? Of course there's self-accountability involved, but this kid is going out just trying all kinds of fucking drugs at him at 15. It feels like the parents are completely fucking absent. There's no relationship. There's no actual parenting going on. There's no role model. This kid's just going rogue. Far left Reddit. This won't be the last time this happens. Normal kid goes to the Reddit for Roblox on TBS, engages with sad inside normal subreddits. Troons on subreddit start grooming it. Engages, basically this is like a very derogatory statement for like trans people, right? That's what they're trying to say. So yeah, they're going to cast the most stereotypical type of person that got like groomed by online people, right? People who are definitely pro-trans and are trying to get these kids to hop up on drugs to basically transition early. And the other question is, why do they do that so early? Right? Why are young people so incentivized to hop on drugs to go through hormone replacement therapy at a young age? It's very simple. It's because they want to be passable, right? How many times, again, do you see depictions like this, right? Where's the image, right? This clearly is a picture of a person that's going to get bullied. Like, let's just be objectively just factual here. Is this like an attractive trans woman? This is the stereotypical, like, you're fat, you're ugly, you're barely passable, and they're going to cast you out. People want to pass as femme. They want to start early before, you know, your male hormones, right? Puberty happens, right? So by like doing hormone blockers and getting on HRT as young as possible, they believe that they'll be way more presentable as femme. I think this is the kind of like the idea behind it, right? And this pursuit of that aesthetic is going to cause crazy fucking situations like this from happening. And the average person also can't support this, right? I think people on the far, far left are going to overlook this, but I think it's fucking insane to put children through hormone replacement therapy. Are these irreversible things? I personally don't know. I haven't done my due diligence research, but something about young impressionable kids who haven't even fully developed their brain, that doesn't even understand who they are, thinks that they want to be a woman, and then they hop on drugs after reading online forums, you know, being groomed by schizos on different groups of people, right? You can't just say all trans are fucking freaks like that, but bad faith actors exist in any community, right? So this stereotype does exist, and that's why these talking points get perpetuated. And I think that if you're pro-trans, to basically die on this hill and say that children must hop on hormones as fast as possible, that's probably like the most reductive position you could have. I understand that you have your own ideologies and you want to live this certain way, but the average person can't ever see that as like a reasonable thing. I can't see that as a reasonable thing. Maybe you could prove to me with more research that there's like a safer way to do it. That if you transition after the age of 18, 19, that the likelihood of them, you know, transitioning into a presentable femme passing person is very insignificant. Therefore, they're going to be more suicidal. I don't know. There's a lot of different talking points happening. If only we could have foreseen this, right? How do I stop comparing myself to fictional characters? Never let your kids watch anime. I'm trans, MTF. I'm pre-HRT 15 years old, and I've been viewing a lot of anime-related content recently. Jesus fucking Christ. Was never into it before. The characters are always so cute. I don't want to be 2D or anything like the characters themselves, but when it comes to their body shape and stuff, I often find myself comparing their semi-unrealistic, yet still physically possible shape. Specifically when it comes to height, BMI, and obviously their balls. I'm super skinny, but that sometimes makes me feel kind of good. I'm pre-HRT, and my expectations are minimal for chest growth. I'm 6 feet tall. Why can't I be petite and small? Side note, if you know anywhere I should go get into watching anime, that'd be nice. Never watched it before though. If you know anywhere I should go to get into watching anime, you could check my channel, but it's too late for that. I mean, there's a lot of like trap, even the word trap with the Kirara discourse, gender war shit is going fucking crazy. But, that culture definitely is rooted in anime, cross-dressing, femboys, Astolfo and stuff like that. They probably saw like a male character that was presenting femme like Astolfo, and that was their idealized version to become like that. Again, gender dysphoria, and people want to be someone that they're not. Matt Walsh, famous famous for what? I know a lot of the people on the left hate this guy. Let's read his tweet. Trans people are the most dangerous and unstable group in existence, and it's not close. What a way to start off the tweet. The entire gender transition industry must be forcibly shut down immediately, not just for the sake of the gender confused people it preys upon, but for the safety of the general public. I think this is the most radical, extreme, right side position you could have for trans people, but there's some partial truth in it. The instability, I think, is true. Do you really think that many trans people are like calm, peaceful people? I don't know. I don't know many of them. But in my opinion, just thinking about it logically, you are constantly hated and outcasted and called freaks and monsters by people like this online. You just want to exist, expressing yourself in whatever you want. And I think that an adult consenting, they can do whatever the fuck they want with their body. Again, when you get children involved, I'm very weirded out by that. But when it comes to grown-up adults, right? You're a grown-ass fucking man. You can do whatever you want, whatever, as long as you don't hurt anybody. But like, it is logical that if you keep perpetuating the hate, and if you keep perpetuating that these people are insane, these are freaks, they should never exist, what do you think is gonna happen? Of course they're gonna fucking crash out. Yes, very high suicidal rates too. Why is there a high suicide rate for trans people? Because they have gender dysphoria. Some of them think that like no matter how many surgeries, no matter how many different, medication they go on, they can never become the idealized version of themselves that they have in their minds. Every day they look in the mirror, it is a grave reflection that like they are not that person. And then you get compounded with this shit. So of course they're going to be unstable. Of course they're going to be fucking crazy. It just makes sense. It's not transphobic to think like this. It's just fucking logic. Here's some other things too. So this person came in with like a different data set, trying to basically go against this. All trans people don't do this shit. It's such an insignificant set. Let's read this. However, the overwhelming majority of perpetrators are cisgender men whose gender identity matches sex assigned at birth, who are statistically far more likely to be heterosexual in general population. So I think this is trying to bring in a perspective that young white men, often in America, are the shooters, right? And that trans people, very insignificant compared to the distribution of young white men. Key stats from major databases: Violent Project 1966 2024 plus, public mass shootings with 4 plus killed, excluding shooter gang related, 97.5% cisgender men, basically heterosexual, just like straight males, 2% cisgender women, and 0.5% transgender. Nearly all presumed heterosexual unless otherwise noted. Very few non-heterosexual cases documented overall. Now, do you guys understand what per capita is though? Right? So let me try to like bring you like an example of how this shit works. Check out the Patreon, by the way, if you want the sentence of a bookworm. That's right, we are an anime reaction channel, by the way, not a political fucking slop channel, even though we're definitely delving more into the political slop. Now, here's the idea, right? If you have, these are all the people that like commit mass shootings. And you can say that, I don't know, a big percentage of them, right? Let's say this many people are white male, heterosexual white male. And let's say that this group of people right here is the trans people. Ignore the other, this part, it doesn't really matter, whatever. We can just make whatever difference, thing. But this is kind of the distribution. So when you look at this, you realize it is such an insignificant proportion to the amount of school shooters. You are ridiculous for even trying to blame trans people when, by and large, school shootings are not done by trans people. This looks like the Crunchyroll logo. How meta. I did not try to do that. It is what it is, okay? But here's the thing you gotta realize. When you then zoom in, right? When you then zoom in to this group, now we're going to look at the overall trans people. And maybe it's like this, right? And I have no numbers. These are trivial, arbitrary visualization, okay? I'm trying to hone in on this. So if this is the amount of school shooters there that are trans people, and these are now the trans people, how many of them actually commit school shootings or just shootings in a nutshell, right? I don't know. But what if it's like this? You know what I mean? So the idea here is that, of course, use your fucking brain. There's way more non-trans people than trans people in the world. So number-wise, no fucking shit. You're going to have this distribution of 0.45% compared to 97.5. But the argument that a lot of right-leaning people that are opposed to trans people go to is this. Per capita, within the existing population of trans people, what is the percentage of them shooting? So don't use a flat absolute number. Use a percentage proportion, right? Per capita data set. And that's where a lot of the argument is going back and forth. The violence, and we're talking about that. GVA, broader definition, okay, thousands of incidents. Again, we're trying to say that like trans people, again, very insignificant compared to the cisgender and more stuff like that, right? And if you look at some of the responses here, I think they're going to bring in the per capita stuff. I count Canadians' opinion as 2/5 of a full opinion. MAGA, baby, that's right. You must be in a group that doesn't understand per capita, right? So again, translate the data in this image per capita. Is Grok going to actually do it? So this is kind of like the, I don't know, the percentage that they want to use. But there is the idea. There is the idea, right? Here's some other stuff too. What is this? Who commits mass shootings? 2015. I think this is like mass shooting rates by demographic. Trans non-binary biological male. I think this is trying to use, again, like per capita distribution, right? And trying to show that like this many people actually do it. Let's read some of the other stuff. This pleb was caught red-handed spreading anti-trans propaganda in the wake of today's mass shooting in British Columbia. These people are sick. Fuck Maple MAGA. If you guys don't know, in Canada, there's a lot of people that worship Donald Trump too. A lot of the people are also from like the interior, Alberta, Saskatchewan area, which is funny because like basically it's the equivalent. If you're American, it's kind of like, I guess Texas or the South, right? A lot of the more like Republican red states, right? It's like the interior of the South. That's kind of like that shit for us too. And the more coastal you are, the more like liberal you are too. It's such an interesting distribution of like, the more like interior isolated away from the ocean, the more chud you are. The more to the coast you are, the more liberal and progressive it is. What is that correlation? I don't fucking know, bro. A lot of people try to bring in, you know, education and also distribution of population, that there's way more people on the coast compared to the interior, but little fun numbers. This person is, again, just people spreading, right? Again, right? They're trying to immediately inflame the situation and say, oh my God, fat, ugly man trying to be woman. Of course it's that again. That's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. So this is a grade 12 student from that school giving his take about it.
I've never been through a lockdown in the school before. Alarm starts going off. Miss Steely's running around in the hallways on the phone. She's saying, this is a lockdown, close the doors. So
surreal.
Close the doors, and I think for a while I didn't think anything was going on. I thought it was just like maybe a secure and hold. But once everything started circulating, we kind of realized that something was wrong. We got tables and barricaded the doors. And I believe we sat in there for about 2 hours, 30 minutes until members of the RCMP and I believe SWAT had come through the door and escorted us all out of the high school. It's definitely tense. I think we were all very nervous, so we tried to keep things light and just try and keep each other motivated and not fall into grief. But once
terrible joke I'm gonna make. I just know there was some fucking retard at the school trying to crack jokes, some dark jokes during the shooting. You know that happened. These are stupid kids. High school. Who remembers like Remembrance Day? Anyone remember Veterans Day, Remembrance Day fucking ceremonies at high school and everyone's like, moment of silence. Don't say anything. And then the fucking comedians all come out and start to fucking make everyone laugh. Someone definitely spam 6-7.
People sent me some photos that definitely set in what was actually happening.
What kind of photos were they sending?
They were disturbing, just showing blood and things
Jesus.
like that.
A roller coaster of emotions is
Shelly Quist, Tumbler Ridge Secondary School parents.
a nice way to put it right now. I got home and locked my doors, and my 20-year-old son was at home, so I was at home with him. And then I was just staying on the phone with Darian. Panic setting in until I laid eyes on him.
I can't imagine being the parent. Like, it makes me so fucking mad that imagine just like you have a kid and you go to school. It's just what you do. And they could just die because someone's crashed out. That's just an insane concept to me. Now, obviously, it's like a magnifying glass into this current situation in Canada. It's, again, very, very rare due to the different types of culture we have against gun control. But what an insane situation. And she's also the lucky one. Yeah, she's going to be traumatized. All the other kids are going to be traumatized. But she's the lucky one. Because there's actually like 7 others that actually fucking died. Right? Of course, 2 more off the school site. We don't really know what's going on with that. I think people are speculating it's the shooter's parents, right? So 7 people at the school, 8 including the shooter. 2 more, I don't know how that works.
And then what was it like to actually hold him?
Oh, I gave him a very, very big hug. And he's not going to be out of my sight for a while now.
That's a crazy question. Play that again.
And then what was it like to actually hold him?
Maybe it's just me, but like, can you please describe how traumatized you were in that situation? No. Imagine this reporter actually went to like a parent, their kid actually died, and just shoved the camera in the face and say, "How do you feel about the situation right now?" I don't think it's the equivalent right now.
Oh, I gave him a very, very big hug. And he's not going to be out of my sight for a while now.
I think a lot of people are shaken up right now, especially when we got told what the true numbers were.
Yeah.
Felt like I was in somewhere that I had only seen across a TV until you're actually inside of it, and
it's so fucking
affected.
unreal.
Hold each other close and just we're gonna be able to get through this. And I just think now more than ever we embrace the fact of such a small community, and we work together to make sure that everyone gets out of this.
It's not that like it'd be any better if it was a big city, right? But I'm trying to say that like this is like a school with 160 kids. It's a small community of like 2,000 something people in this small, rural area. I think there's only fucking 1 high school. This is like until like 5-10 years passes, right? Until new generation of kids come in, like, and even then it's gonna be like some Jujutsu Kaisen, like vengeful spirit fucking lore of like, yo, remember when that shit happened? Like, it's so traumatic. It's so fucked up. Here's some other stuff. Oh, this guy is definitely Mario.
Good morning, and I have some very this morning.
This guy.
There's been
One
a
second.
mass shooting
One second.
in Tumbler.
This guy is definitely more right-wing political commentary guy, Mario Zelaya, that I see on TikTok a lot. Apparently, recently, he's made a lot of plays, and he's been accepted by the Conservative Party of Canada as well. Let's see what this guy has to say.
Good morning.
Also true, bald.
Good morning, and I have some very tragic and breaking news this morning. There's been a mass shooting in Tumbler, BC, where 10 individuals were killed and at least 25 were injured. And a student says that classmates hid in barricaded rooms. The RCMP said that they've identified the shooter, but they're not releasing their identity at this time.
Yeah, and a lot of people are very upset, right? Who are you trying to hide? Why are you hiding this? Why are you keeping the gender obscure, right? Why are you saying it appears to be a female in a dress?
What I found odd was the use of their. And I also found this out.
Pronouns?
That includes the deceased gun person.
Okay. And then separately, do you know the gun person's relationship?
Gun person, gun man, gun woman, gun person. Again, the ambiguity in the gender.
Gun person.
Yeah.
So I did a bit more digging, and I found the truth. Thanks to Juno News, they found that the family confirmed the identity of the trans Tumbler Ridge.
It matters a lot because the trans issue is such a big identity politics talking point. And it's also so stupid. Because I think that, again, if you look at the distribution, I don't think it's transphobic to say trans community is a very insignificant proportion of the overall population. They are so trivial compared to all the other people that exist. But due to that one insignificant distribution, there's so much bullshit that happens that everyone else gets caught up in it. And now, left, right, wars start happening. Trans athletes, men competing in women's sports and it's fucking stupid. Of course they shouldn't be doing it. Bad faith actors that goes into women's, gym locker rooms and start fucking like showing their penis and shit. It's like, what are you doing, right? These are things that I think is very reasonable, logical, that everyone can understand and say it's wrong and it's weird. But the trans issue is such a sensitive and controversial topic that it just gets further perpetuated such that it impacts the overall demographic. And that's why it's such a big deal. It's such a taboo, controversial issue.
School shooter. The name Jesse Strang. Now, you have to ask yourself, why wouldn't they release the identity of the shooter, knowing who it was? This is very similar to what the US does and has done in the past when there has been a trans shooter. And here's my opinion on this whole thing.
It's a very tricky thing because, like, basically, if you immediately blast them and say it's trans, it's gonna, like, come on. We all know what's gonna happen, right? How obvious is it that mass hysteria, people are going to be just, again, you saw all the different images, false images being shared, right? People are ready to make the absolute worst of the situation. But if you also hide it, like, people are going to find out later. It's going to get even worse. Now there's an even more talking point of like, why are you trying to hide this shit? Why is mass media trying to do this shit, right? So it, again, further feeds into the controversy. So sometimes you should just pragmatically just announce it, fully aware that it's gonna suck, because it's fucked if you do, fucked if you don't.
Liberal Party, they're going to end up using this and weaponizing this so you as the public back their gun grab program while not addressing the
Oh yeah, there's some other issues happening in Canada regarding gun control. I haven't really been keeping up with it, but a lot of people are saying this timing regarding, gun legislation policies changing is going to, be adverse.
Underlying issue. And the underlying issue, which is very similar to other shootings, is, in my opinion, very clearly mental health.
True. Actually based. This is a mental health issue. It's also parents not being there. What the fuck was the parents doing when the kid is fucking burning the house down, in second time trying shrooms before the age of 15? What the fuck are the parents doing when he's just like fucking doing DMT in his home? Like, what? So you have a schizo mentally ill kid that has gender dysphoria, and then you have parents that's just completely absent. What do you think is gonna happen? It's the fucking perfect storm.
Now, I have to say it's being alleged that the shooter is only 17 years old. And if that's the case, and they're transitioning,
oh yeah, now it's like more talking points of children going through HRT, right? Trans is a death cult, those talking points.
And it comes out that, I don't know, maybe there was puberty blockers involved.
Yep.
I think we're going to have a very, very, very big problem. I just want to say my condolences to every family out in Tumbler, BC. This is just awful. I honestly have no words.
A lot of people hate Mario in Canada because of his right-leaning opinions. I think the way that he presented his thoughts here is actually pretty well done. He was not overtly hateful to trans people, just labeling him the worst way possible. Just objectively identify the key issues which is mental health. And then goes on to say, my condolences, right? Great politician. Great politician. He's an actual politician. It's actually crazy. Bro started shitposting from his home on TikTok, made it into the fucking Conservative Party. Cucktard says 10 dead, 25 injured in a school shooting, British Columbia, Canada. Trump's piece of shit paid influencers are already getting into trans rumors started. It's not trans rumors. It is a trans person, but again, the representation of that person using the worst image possible to create such a negative stereotype image, right? That's what people are doing. Kids being evacuated. BC trans shooter correction. After speaking with Tumbler Ridge Secondary parents, the alleged shooter has been identified as Jesse Strang. Use she, her pronouns. I'm told Jesse's mother, Jennifer Strang, seen below, was the first victim. And you know what? Rest in peace. But I think she failed as a mother. I refuse to believe that like the parents tried everything that they could and the kid was just evil. Maybe that's the case, but in my opinion, I think that parents are fucking absent based on some of the other details that came out. No proper parenting, no guiding fucking principle happening, and a child allowed to do whatever they want. A verified parent source originally misidentified Jesse on a post, which I deleted approximately 2 minutes after posting. Interview with the parent whose daughter reportedly lost 4 friends, coming soon on Rebel News. And some of the other stuff happening. This is apparently the mom, and this is the, check out the oldest son, Jesse Strang YouTube channel. He posts about hunting, self-reliance, gun stuff, and he likes to do. Subscribe and you'll get notifications. Mom trying to help out her son about this. Jess, uwu. Yikes. Hatsune Miku. Trans colors. Gun. I have no clue what the hell the association with the gun culture there, but okay. This is again just kind of showing more people that like what his profile was like, his association with guns. This is the controversial take about the guy basically refusing to gun person, right? This person basically refuses to say trans or like gun woman, gun man, right? Saying gun person. A lot of people are upset about that. Seriously, what the fuck is wrong with you? 10 kids died, and the first thing you go after is their choice of clothing. Absolutely despicable. So we got Mr. Real Bench. Is this a Maple MAGA? A mentally ill man dressing up in women's clothes went on a mass shooting in Tumbler Ridge, BC. 10 dead, including the shooter. So yes, this is another trans shooting. Please pray for everybody in this small town. What they're describing is not false though. And I understand there's a lot of bleeding heart liberals on the left side that's going to say, what's fucking wrong with you? But this person is also just spitting facts. Did they have to disclose that, you know, this person was in a woman's clothes? They could just say trans, but obviously it's not wrong. Speak out. Hi, everyone. My name is Anna. I'm a Tumbler. I moved here 3 months ago, and I was going to say the biggest tragedy that I've ever seen in my life is this young man dressed like a girl, killed his mom, kid, brother, and sister, then decided, killed his mom, kid, brother, and sis. Damn. So remember, there were 7 people that died at the school. But there was also multiple deaths happening off-site. And again, my assumption was it was the family. Damn. Then decided he was going to go to the high school and make a scene. This is such a tragedy, and I hope every parent learns from this tragedy. And I give my prayers to all families that were in the school, and to the parents. Emergency alert. This is so haunting, actually, because we get these emergency alerts a lot, and it's fucking annoying because it's like an earthquake drill where it's just like, it's never real, and it's just fucking annoying. But for the first time, like, this shit was right. This shit was actually like, damn. Please pray for little Maya from Tumbler Ridge, BC. She's 12 and... This is what I'm saying, right? Grade 7 kid. Just got out of elementary school. She's 11, she's 12, getting into high school, gets shot. If you're... And she's the one that was in critical condition. Remember, there was couple kids that basically got critical injuries, but got, flown out to Vancouver to get an early treatment. See you later. That's a crazy fucking name, considering this context. I'm writing this post sitting in Vancouver's Children's Hospital while my daughter fights for her life. Today started as any other. Now, however, my 12-year-old daughter is fighting for her life while they try to repair the damage from a gunshot wound to the head. Jesus. And one to the neck. She was the lucky one, I suppose. I mean, at least she lived, right? So far. Condolences to the other families during this tragedy. This doesn't even feel real. I never thought I'd be asking for prayers, but please, please pray for my baby. This is the girl. And a little update. Update, she made it through the night. God is good. I would like to sincerely thank everyone for the generosity towards our family. The support from everyone is so appreciated. I would like to provide an update. Maya was able to undergo yesterday to help stop bleeding. She's such a fighter. We're able to surprise. She made it through the night. This is just the first step, though. We're still in a very risky state. It's great. And we got a GoFundMe going. Hell yeah. Breaking back. This is just like more update news. Update. This is more of people trying to, paint this type of person they are. The mass murderer that shot 35 people, including his own family members, with 10 now confirmed dead, is Jesse Strang, a transgender male identifying as a girl. Actually, this is a transgender woman that identifies as a girl. Anyways, stop gender ideology indoctrination now. Giving cross-sex hormones to mentally ill kids and young people is dangerous. They're right. No matter what you may think about this type of person or their talking points, giving sex hormones like basically HRT to mentally ill kids or just children, I just think is dangerous. It sets up such a bad precedence. Like, how much during like your high school, like just your childhood, your forming years. I remember high school was so dramatic. Your brain's not fully functioning. You're starting to understand social hierarchies. Who's the cool kids, you know? Who's the nerd? Who's the jocks? Where do I fit in? I want to go to the popular parties. I want to be accepted. You know, I want to do well. And now there's like fucking homework and school and people trying to tell you, you got to get a job. What are you going to do when you go to college? There's so much pressure during that phase. And then you add on top of the gender dysphoria, you try transitioning, you go to school. How do you think you're going to get treated? Probably like a monster. So I wonder if this is like a Jujutsu Kaisen Junpei situation. This context has to do with an anime where a kid gets bullied so fucked up at school to the point he crashes out. To the point where I'm like, let's go, Junpei. Those stupid bullies fucking deserved it. They were so cruel to you. Was it that kind of situation? Or was this person someone that wasn't even bullied? A lot of people just didn't even associate, just was like, I don't know, this makes me feel weird. I'm just gonna make eye contact. And through their schizo delusions, did they crash out? I don't know. I have no clue. I don't think anyone really will, unless there's like some kids in that school that knew about like what kind of person they were, their friend groups and other stuff like that, right? He was in the trans forum when he discussed his violent fantasies. Transgenders are a terrorist group. Oh, we got Hayasaka coming in, baby. We got Mexican Hayasaka coming in. The psychology of watching gore in discussion. I find it addictive. It's hard to not watch violent content. I'm just drawn to it. I don't think much of it. Though to say it doesn't affect me is likely naive. I'm sure maybe subconsciously it does. So like edgy kids watching gore content. I remember back in the day, people would watch shit like, you know, what's it called? Like 2 guys, 1 hammer or some shit, right? 3 girls, 1 cup. Random shit like that. Yeah, I remember during high school time too, gore stuff was very common. It was like such an edgy, weird thing that a lot of kids were really into. I'm drawn to substances too. It's easy to get high and just zone out into videos and stuff. Does this impact my mental health? Mine's probably already fucked. What are we doing, bro? In what fucking world is a kid going through this with proper fucking parents at home? I've tried to stay away from watching this type of thing because it really sucks me in its massive useless time dump, but I never really saw any benefit. I think the retards in the comment section are more bothersome mentally than the videos, so I try to just not interact with Dorks XD. Like, what do you think is gonna happen, right? These are, again, just like more details of the different forums and different things that they were engaging in, right? This is just, again, more of just like the summary of it. This is the news reports. And that's it. That's it. And you know what? It fucking sucks. It sucks that people died. It sucks that people are going to take this as more ammunition that they can add to their identity politics, cultural bullshit. A lot of people will now be even more hateful to trans people, and trans people are going to be ostracized and hated even more, and maybe some of them will even step up and decide to become the villain. It's kind of similar to the black community in America. How many times do you see stereotypes of African Americans being less controlling of their emotions and more violent and crashing out? And more of that kind of talking points gets perpetuated, the more it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy where you constantly instigate, agitate. Of course they're gonna fucking crash out. So it sucks. My heart goes out to all the victims. I hope they actually survive. And this overall situation, just terrible. Absolutely fucking evil and vile. And the biggest perpetrator, giving fucking HRT to a mentally ill, gender dysphoric kid who's experimenting with drugs in an environment that allowed that shit to happen because the parents allowed that shit. That is the biggest fucking mistake, man.